Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second activity in our historical story writing theme for these next 2 weeks. It is over 2 weeks, just to make it clear. And we're going to be very much focusing on planning today, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. So, if you are going to write an historical story, which time periods could you use? That's the first thing to think about. I'm going to go straight into that question because it's really important. So, I'm going to give you a couple of choices. Now, you don't have to choose these. These don't have to be your final options. I just want you to have a think about it. So, you might write about the Vikings. You might write about an event or something to do with World War I. What about the Romans or Roman times, Roman Britain? The ancient Greeks, Queen Victoria and the Victorians, lots in there. Or what about ancient Egypt? The point is, you can choose any time period you wish, and within that, there's so much that happens in these are huge areas of time. Now, you don't have to just choose these. You can choose whichever time period you want. You could talk about something to do with ancient China or Chinese civilization, or the Aztecs, the Mayans, the ancient India, Babylon, so anything at all, honestly. It could be to do with World War II. It's entirely up to you. Have a think, because by the end of this session, you're going to have to know what you're writing about, even before the end of this session. So you need to decide on a time period you would like to write about. This is the important thing, though. Choose an historical time or event which you are interested in. If you're not interested in the time, so you might decide, oh, well, I'm going to choose Rome. But if you're not interested in writing about ancient Rome or anything to do with that, or an event to do with that, or something about the life of somebody in ancient Rome, don't do it. Don't choose something you're not going to be interested in writing about. Think about the purpose. This is a story writing competition. You're going to have to be interested in what you're writing about. The other thing is, you need to have a good understanding of that time period that you choose. Now, you can obviously find out more about it as you're going along, but it's probably a good idea to have at least a pretty good understanding of that time that you're going to be writing about. So make sure when you do decide on the time period that both of those things are taken into account. Right. Before we write, build, or make anything, we need to have a good plan. And I'm saying that as a statement. It's not a question, it's a statement. Think about it with Lego. When you get a new Lego set, or whenever somebody gets a new Lego set, they get a plan with it, which allows them to build that particular, whatever it is, model. Now, you may say, well, actually, I don't need, when I, for example, I create a picture, I don't need a plan. But actually, really, to be effective, you do. And when you think about writing, I want to take you back to something that happened a few years ago at BST. We had the writer of A Diary of a Wimpy Kid come in. I can't remember his name right now. When he came in, he showed us his planning. It was one book, or two books, I think, actually, worth of planning. That is about 300 pages, 400 pages, before he'd even begun to write the book. That was just his planning. Now, if you want to write something properly, you have to be able to do that. Okay? It's not even an option. That must be something that you do. So, we are going to be planning this week. Today, we're going to focus on the first part of our planning, and it should include the time we are writing about. Really important. An event we're going to write about, the name of the character, and a description of that character. Character is going to be very important to this. And historical vocabulary or things about that time which will be important to my story. So, let's first of all come out of here and let's go to the planning template. Let's open that up. And we're going to do this together. Right. I'm going to show you what it looks like when I do this. So, first of all, time period chosen. That's the first part. I'm going to read through this. Choose a time period you are confident about. Well, I'm going to choose, I've already had to think about this, so I'm going to choose the Romans, okay? Because that's a time period I feel fairly confident about. I've taught it a lot. I have a good understanding of it. I'm interested in it. Choose a time period which you are really interested in finding more about. I also, even though I know a lot about it, I can find out more about that. So I'm going to choose the Romans. I might think about a particular part of the Romans as well. So, or a time within the Romans, or a place. And I'm actually going to include my setting in this case. And I'm going to include, it's going to be the city of Rome, because I want to focus in on that. There's so much to do with Rome. It's massive. And I'm actually going to focus in on a place, and it's going to be the Colosseum, okay? Because the Colosseum's always interested me from me watching the film Gladiator, and Gladiators generally. So I'm going to do that. Okay, I'm going to go to the second part now, and I'm going to focus on this. Event story is based on. Could you use an actual event? Yeah, I'm going to use an actual event, but my event in this case, my event is maybe not an actual event, but it's based around actual events, and it's going to be to do with the lions, okay? And it's going to be to do with, actually, I might even base my character on a lion, okay? So that's going to be the first thing, and it's going to be an evening or day. I'm going to have to find out a bit more about that when they took place. An evening or day with where the lions were part of the lions fought. Okay, gladiators. I don't know. Now, could they make up an event? Could they make up an event which would be accurate? Okay, or could you? It doesn't say you. Could they? Could you make up an event? Right. Well, okay. I've talked about that. I'm making up the event. Okay, that's actually what I'm doing. It's more of this, which will be accurate. Okay. How would a character be important to this event? Now, this is the key thing, right? Well, the lions were very entertaining to the people of Rome, to the public. And also, I'm going to talk about the emperor being there, okay? Now, I'm going to need to find out a bit more about that. Now, I'm going to add in more about this because I think there's more I could talk about with how would a character be important to this event. I think there's a lot more I could talk about there, and I could add in a lot more detail. Right, let's move down. Okay, name of character, description of that character. So think about your character within the event. Okay, more important characters can be more interesting. So in this case, the lion is what I'm basing it around, but maybe that lion might be, for example, I don't know, the leader of the pack of lions, okay? The leader of the pack. So a male lion in this case, yeah? Not a lioness. And maybe the rest of the lions are lionesses, okay? And junior male lions, okay? So yeah, the alpha. Okay, it might be the alpha male, because that means the main male, right? Okay. Now it says writing about, so more important characters can be more interesting, i.e. writing about centurion general in the Roman army is more interesting than writing about a farmer in Roman Britain. Now there's no reason why you couldn't write about a farmer in Roman Britain, or writing about just a regular soldier in World War I, or in ancient Egypt writing about a slave, for example, or not necessarily a slave, but a pyramid builder. But really, people are more interested in the main characters, okay? And that's why a lot of history stories are more interesting when they're about more interesting characters. Also, focus on creative and interesting points of view in the story. So my focus is going to be about the fight, okay, in the arena before and after, the whole tension and building it up, okay? So in the arena, Colosseum, before, and I'm going to put during and after. And it's going to be the more immediate time. Okay, so I really want to focus. There's lots more I could add in, right? Okay, the name of the character as well. Okay, so what is the name of my character? I haven't even thought about that. I don't know. Scar? Okay. No. Think about what they would call it, okay? What would they call the lion? They might call Leo, something as simple as that, yeah, okay? Maybe maybe also it could be an actual Roman name. So a Roman name, yeah, it's given to the lion, and the lion pack. So all of these, a description of a character, okay? I might want to start thinking about what it looks like as well, okay? That might be interesting. So all of these things are going to be things that I need to think about. All right, let's leave that there and move on to the final part, which says historical vocabulary, things about that time which will be important to my story. So this is going to be the main thing I need to fill out today, but I may not go into I'm going to go into as much detail as I can, but I can add to this as I carry on planning throughout the week. So what other historical vocabulary, objects, places, equipment might you need? Well, if I'm thinking about my line, I'm going to think about the people there. Okay, who are going to be there? So lion, not the tamers, but the lion keepers, I guess they would be, because you wouldn't lion tamers are at zoos. Also, the people people who work at the Colosseum, yeah. Gladiators. Okay, I could talk about maybe before they go out, maybe before the actual lion fighting starts. There's a gladiatorial fight. Yeah, what happens there. I could use that as a description. Yeah. Fight. Yeah, gladiatorial fight. Okay, gladiators. Yeah, the equipment the gladiators use, the different names for the gladiators, names. What actually it looks like the Colosseum. What does it look like? The Colosseum looks like the emperor. Okay, if he's there. What's the area that he sits in look like? What is it? Look at all that information. This is going to be by far and away the most information you include today. So, what I wanted to do is I wanted to just talk about this briefly so that you've got an idea of how to plan it. Take your time with this today, but at the same time, obviously think carefully about what you can include. Remember, this is going to be a working document which you can use continually throughout your writing. And obviously, you can go back and you can add things to this as well. Okay, I hope that helped. So, what you need to do now is open up the document and you need to actually have a go at planning your story. Okay.